Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina, and I am a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. Today on the podcast, I have a very special guest with me. She is one of my Reiki Master students, and I've known her for about 7 years. And today, we wanted to share her journey from her spiritual awakening to her most difficult loss of a family member. This will not be an easy episode, but we both know how important it will be for many listeners out there, and we truly hope it will help even in the smallest possible way. So, everyone, please help me welcome Kayla to the podcast. Kayla, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really grateful that you are here with me today because I know that this isn't going to be easy for you, but I know that you need to do this as well as I know many people out there need to hear it. So, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to take this step in talking about it.
And I believe that this is going to be a huge step for you, but just also so healing and healing for you, for many people. And I'm really nervous. I'm not going to say I'm not nervous for
Absolutely.
this episode. I'm sure you are. And I'm usually
Yeah,
pretty, open with people on the podcast when I have a guest on and everything. But I know how important this episode is. And I think that's where my nerves kind of set in.
for
But
sure.
it's important. So I want to just kind of go back to the beginning of how you and I met, talk about your spiritual journey, because it plays a huge role as to what is happening in your life today. So we can go all the way back to, I want to say 7 years ago, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, my little daughter was about 2 years old. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Time goes fast.
um, yeah. We met. I was actually invited to a group reading at a friend's house, and it was a whole new circle of friends. And I wanted to go, to meet new people. And that's really why I was going. I was also super skeptical, didn't believe in it. I was like, you know what, whatever, just try it. You'll meet people again. And yeah, so, the group session starts, and I
Mhm.
don't, I don't remember what happened, but you just like,
Oh,
you
I
couldn't,
remember.
yeah, you couldn't even read.
Let me share this part because there were so many people. I think there was like 14 women or something.
Yeah.
And I'm usually just go into my job and I channel and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't see anything. What is happening? And the message that I was hearing from my guides was someone was blocking me and they were so strong. And I'm like, okay. So I'm looking around. And then all of a sudden I look at you and I went, oh, that's who it is. So I could feel it. It was so powerful, so strong. And I'm like, you are completely blocking me from seeing anything. Like, what is this? And so I
Yeah.
remember making an announcement saying, look, you know what? Why don't we just go and we have like longer private sessions? You can come in one on one with me. We'll talk to your loved ones. And that's kind of what we did. And I guess you guys had been out there talking about it, like, who is the person, who's the one who's blocking it,
Yeah.
the energy. And everybody was looking at each other. And then as soon as you walked into the privates, I looked at you and I said, I know it's you. I,
Yeah.
I know it's you, no offense, but this has happened and I'm just here to help you. And I think it was within 1 minute, I had told you that your friend who had passed away the week prior, right? It
Yeah.
was 1 week prior,
Yeah.
was coming in at me and wanted to give you this advice. And you just instantly went into tears. And I'll never forget, you were sitting across from me bawling. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make you cry. I was just, he's here and I have to give you these messages. And that's when
Yeah.
everything in your life really kind of just changed.
Yeah. Like it kind of clicked almost a little bit, but uh yeah, some of the messages, and it was nuts because like you would have never known any of those pieces of information, and it was just like life changing. So when I left that night, I just, it was like a whole other world opened up.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
opened up so much that you called me and said, can you do a group reading at my house and my mom's house? And
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, come do all the group readings.
that's right. We had a few at your house. I think there was a
Yeah.
couple. And then we obviously went to your mom's house and we had, I don't know how many group readings I've done with your family, but quite a few.
Yeah.
And at one point, I remember just saying, like, this is who you are. Like, that's how strong you are. You're a healer at heart. You have to just believe it. And then next thing you know, you're taking your Reiki level 1 and 2 with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then that was crazy. That was a couple months after, all the readings at my family's house and whatnot. And it was an amazing course. And I think I just practiced and practiced. And I went to a couple friends' houses and practiced. And then I started, doing like random sessions on people that I didn't even know. And then I think 7 months after that, I think you reached out to me and you said, "Are you ready for masters? Like, you're ready. Let's do this."
Yeah, and I don't normally do that because, I tell
Yeah.
everybody that they should wait at least a year. And then there are some that I get the message that it's okay to take it ahead of time because they're ready. And I must have had that deep gut feeling of, hey, this is, who you've been for many lifetimes. This is not new to you. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And you did. You came and took your master's, and I've watched your journey unfold right in front of my eyes, and it's amazing because you do a lot of healings and you do help a lot of people. And I know that even meeting you that very first night, I saw it within you. I mean, for someone to be that powerful to block what I was doing, it's
Yeah.
never, ever, never happened since, by the way. Thank goodness. 'Cause you were strong. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So,
Arms crossed.
oh, you were gunning me down. I'll never forget
Yeah.
it. And then look at where we are right now. Like,
Right.
it's magical, right? That's just the
Yeah.
power of the universe. But I think because you were so scared of your own light that you were trying to block mine. And then when you
Yeah.
opened up, it was like, oh my God, this is who I really am. And you're so strong. I've said that to many people. You're a very strong healer. It's amazing to be a
Thank
part of
you.
and watch. I think that definitely stayed in touch. And sure, we lose touch
Mhm.
along the way sometimes because life gets busy, but we've always been in each other's lives, and especially your mom and, your stepdad. Can I call
Yeah.
them that, by the way? Is that what you
I, you know, I call him dad. I've got two dads.
okay? Because I
he's
was going
he's
to
my
say,
dad.
I
Yeah.
didn't know if I should say stepdad or not because I don't see him as your stepdad because he's, yeah,
He's
incredible.
yeah,
And I love
absolutely.
them so much. I have so much respect for them. They've always been so good to me and so kind. And of course, there's a special bond that we've all kind of created together because we've spent so much time together doing this kind of work.
Absolutely.
And I feel very, let me just try to even put this into words, connected, maybe that might be the right word, to your
Yeah.
family. And they have been so welcoming to me, and I just love being in their energy. And I obviously have known some of the troubles that your mom's had with, having kids and things like that. And so
Hmm.
I do know quite a bit about your personal lives, and
Yeah.
I want to go into what happened recently because this is what we're here for today. And I know this is tough, but I do want to just kind of start bringing light to a situation. And that happened a few months ago, correct?
Yeah. In January.
In January.
Yeah.
So, Kayla, I'll never forget this day ever. I was actually in the parking lot at Costco with my son, and I saw actually, I think we had a group reading set up for that coming weekend or the
Yeah, we
following
did.
weekend. We did the
Yeah.
following
Yeah.
weekend. And you messaged me and you said, I have to cancel the group. And I was like, okay, no big deal, whatever. But what you said next to me just, I don't even know if I have words to explain it because I went into full shock as well.
Yeah.
I'll let you share if you'd like.
Um, excuse me. So, uh, I don't even know where to start either, but same thing when my family found out the news, it was just complete shock.
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing to process. My brother's kids, like his wife, my parents, like a lot of things went through my head, and I was driving down Deerfoot when I found out. So I had to pull over instantly, and I
Yeah.
had my first panic attack. I've never experienced that in my life.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was tough. And then I needed to get to my mom. So I, you know, got it together and took a couple big breaths and just said, I like, Daniel, like, take me to mom. I need to get to her. And
I know.
just spent the morning with my parents, and really the next been with them every day since. So
Well, let me go back and explain what really happened that day so everybody can understand. Who called you that day?
my mom
So
called
you're,
me at 7 in the morning, and because the police were at her doorbell camera, and she's at work already. So she calls me and she's like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Like, call Daniel, call Jesse, call my cousin Lindsay, call my cousin Aaron. Like, just we'll figure it out. Like, I'll let me know." And then she called me back and she told me it was Daniel.
and Daniel is your brother.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's when you had messaged me and said, "Oh my goodness, Daniel's gone."
yeah,
And you did tell me that day how he passed as well.
yeah.
And I will explain that he passed by suicide. And that was something that shook me to the core because I do know your family's past and some of the hardships and worries that your mom
Yeah.
had with him. And it was like, I just had no words. I walked around Costco in a daze and I was teaching that weekend. So this is on a Friday. I believe it
Yep.
was the Friday you called me because I was teaching the next day on the Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And again, I had to get stuff for the weekend and I'm in there aimlessly walking around, just trying to wrap my head around what you had told me. And I would just remember when I was driving home, I kept hearing his name over and over. And when I got home, it was like everywhere I turned, I could feel him. And I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, oh my goodness. I don't even know how to process this because it was just overwhelming. He just wouldn't leave my side. And I knew he was trying so hard to communicate. So that night, I had to prepare for class the early next morning. And I had to almost take it and put it somewhere else because I had to go into teacher mode. I had to almost disconnect from the feeling that I had.
Yep.
And so, anyways, the next morning, these students come to see me, and I can't remember how many were in that group, but the entire day, I kept hearing his name again. And every time I would look, I would see somebody walk by my kitchen. And I'm like, okay, this is getting crazy. Like I can see someone, I can see someone. And I knew it was him. And I had a couple of the other students actually say to me, "Do you see this shadow that keeps walking by?" I'm like, "You see it too? Oh my God,
Yeah.
And from there, it got a little bit more bizarre because again, I was in teacher mode. I usually teach for about 8 to 9 hours on a day, like on one of the days, sorry. And I just kept like feeling him everywhere. He was everywhere I went. Every time I turned around, I could feel him right there. And so, anyways, we started doing the attunement, which in a Reiki class it's a ritual that you connect the student to the source of Reiki. And so as I'm connecting this one student to Reiki, I could feel her kind of, I don't know, almost getting sad. And then when the attunement was over and they usually shared their experiences, and she said, "Karina, I don't know what this means, but I kept seeing this guy in my attunement. Like I just, every time I closed my eyes, I saw this guy and I kept seeing that he had hanged himself."
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh my God." And I looked at her and I was like, "I can't explain it to you. I just know what that means." And I said to her, you need to just always trust things as you go forward, the messages that you get, the insight, the clairvoyant pictures that come to you. She is extremely strong. And I knew he was going to her in that moment. And I thought, oh my God, I have to tell Kayla. I have to tell
Yeah.
Kayla. And I was so scared to tell you. I can't lie. I was scared.
Absolutely. It's a tough thing to talk about and to just I don't know, yeah, it's just tough to talk about. So that's why it's important to talk about it, you know?
It is important, Kayla, because
Yeah.
I know that I was holding back and I was afraid to open up and even ask you that because I do know that you mentioned to me that he had passed by suicide, but you didn't tell me how.
Yeah.
And I was too scared to see it. So I remember going to, I believe she's your aunt. Um, and I said to her, is there any way you could just tell me how he passed? Because I don't want to look. I can't.
Hmm.
I'm too close to the situation. And she had told me how. And I just freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, my student saw him. He was here with us in this class. Like, he's alive in a different way. He's here. I have to get to you. And I said, and I asked her, I have this information. What do I do with it? And she said, Karina, she would want to know. You have to tell her. And that's when I took a chance and messaged your mom and said,
Hmm.
I know this might be hard to hear, but I have to tell you this. I hope this is okay. And in fact, it was exactly what she needed to hear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there, we did our own little group, with your dad and your mom and you. And we sat
Yeah.
down and he was trying so hard to get to you that day too opened up because I remember saying to you, I'm booked for months. I don't have time. Like, but
Hmm.
this day I happen to have open. Can you do it? And you were all like, yes. And I said, well, that's divine timing at its best. And from there, it was an incredible reading. He was so specific, down to even the house that you guys went to go visit on the East
Yeah.
Coast, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I can't even wrap my head around so many of the details. It was just overwhelming, but
Amazing to
wow.
hear though, like I can't remember one of the messages was, but I remember him talking about the stairs or something and the kids running around like upstairs, downstairs. There was two sets of stairs. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids would just be running and yeah, it was like he was there, but he wasn't, you know?
Oh, he was. He was talking
Yeah,
about the
he totally
blanket
was.
that one of his children had been wrapped up in. I remember your
Yeah,
mom knew that, and the bath toys that they played with and certain
yeah.
things. And she said, Karina, like, I know it was him. I know he was there. And from there, I think for that reading, I know that as difficult as it was for her, I know that it did bring her some peace. I could see it in her face. I
Yeah.
could see that she just needed to know that he made it and that he was okay. And from there, I remember coming to you not long after that and asking you something. And I said, would you mind if because I teach mediumship classes every 3 weeks. And I said, would you
Hmm.
mind if we called in your brother for this class and see if he comes through? And perhaps he's going to have some messages for you and your family. And you absolutely agreed. I mean, you understand this kind of work. So it
Yeah.
was like, for sure, I'll take any messages I can get. But over the course of the last few months, life has been so hectic that we haven't actually had the time to discuss any of it. So I wanted to go through some of that right now with you, if that's okay.
Can I also point that when you reached out to me and said, hey, like, can I call him into my class? Like, let's see where it goes. And remember, I told you the song Daniel by Elton John started playing?
Oh my God, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
My hair's standing right now down my legs.
Yeah. So it was like, whoa, this is,
Ooh.
and again, like he always laughed, not laughed at me, but just like never understood the spiritual level and, Reiki and all that. He just, and look at him now. He's coming through in flying colors. Like it's
To
crazy.
every one of us, to my students,
Yeah.
to me, like, for him to definitely sit here in this world and make fun of it and not understand it. And I know you did mention that he would or joke
Yeah.
around about like smudging and those
Yeah.
kind of things and make fun of you for being sensitive and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it is kind of fascinating when they go to the other side. And those are the ones who are actually the strongest, who come through in group sessions and
Yeah.
stuff, because they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do this. This is amazing. Oh my gosh, let me try to find my loved ones. Let me try to help and let them know I'm okay.
Yeah.
And they go out of their way. And he sure has been coming around and coming around, because that day, I think I said this to you. I was, looking for someone to call in from the other side. I remember thinking, oh boy, I better figure this out for tonight's class. I need someone to talk to on the other side so I can help the students. And you just kept popping into my mind, and Daniel, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to just ask you. And then when you told me that about the song, I thought, okay, you can't make this
Wow.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
clearly he's trying to get to you guys, and would love to be a part of it, especially because he was so skeptical, just like you were.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'm going to go through some of my notes. And again, these are students, as you know, who are learning, but a lot of them picked up the same kind of message and vibe. And I think there was only, I believe there was 10 in this class, but only one of them actually, maybe one or two, had mentioned suicide. And the others were almost too afraid to touch that word. And so
Hmm.
they would be like, well, maybe it's an accident. Or I feel, one person had said that they had an instant headache and they heard head trauma, but they were afraid to say how they passed. So they had said maybe an accident. This one person in particular said that they picked up fishing. So I don't know if he really liked to fish or anything. Um,
We he loved the river and floating. I
could
don't know
make
if that has anything to do with it. We also fished as kids.
Could be. I'll keep going because
Okay.
I jotted all these notes down, and some of it
Nice.
made sense for what I knew psychically and some didn't. But this one student said the Frozen song kept coming in, that, I don't know, whatever song it was from Frozen, but it was like a big
Yeah.
hit. And that his kids still love the movie Frozen or something, and that he's with them when they watch that movie,
Mm.
and that he was so sorry that he was so careless, and that he wanted to apologize to his wife and kids and let them know that he is hugging them at all times and that she really
Mm.
was his soulmate. So one of the students instantly felt like she was about to burst into tears, and all she kept hearing was, I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I was sad. And then she talked about how he always liked bonfires or being outside at the bonfire or
Yeah.
something, and always like near the water, like near water, loved to be near the ocean, near the water. One of them said that he really liked beer. And I don't
Yeah,
know if that's true or not, but um,
it is. Yeah.
that he had some sort of like suit job where he was like crunching numbers or something. That's what she wrote down. So I don't know if that means
Yeah.
anything. And that she wrote down that he had passed by suicide, and he was really, really sorry that he was gone. That's what
Yeah.
that one said. So one of the other girls had said that he was very sensitive, loving, and happy, but deep down, he was really hard on himself, and that he kept saying he was sorry and that he drank too much beer. She also said that too, that he drank too much, and that it caused issues in his personal life. And then he had a message for his wife that she is not alone, that it's okay to move forward, and that he was so sad that he put her into such an unexpected situation because it wasn't fair. And then I wrote down here, it said someone got a phone call and sister wants messages. That's what she had said. The other ones,
That's amazing.
the one of them had said he loved the East Coast and seafood. I don't know. That's what she said.
Yeah.
He loved the
Well,
East
she
Coast and
nailed it.
seafood. Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah.
She said
He
it.
lived in PEI
Oh, loved
and
the
he
East
was a
Coast.
big
Loved
foodie.
that. Loved. Yeah, that's what she wrote down here. Loved seafood. Loved food.
Yeah.
And she said the message for you was, I have this written right here. Life's too short to take so seriously. Make a positive change for others. So that's for
Neat.
you.
Okay.
One of them also described him having a very heavy heart. And they said that he had had a very heavy heart. And that's when she had asked him, how did you pass? And he explained it that way. He had a very, very heavy heart. And then
Okay.
he described himself as being a jokester who gave the biggest bear hugs.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
lastly, there's one more. Okay. And one of them said that he had an overwhelming sadness and needed to talk to his sister. I'm not kidding. I have that written right here.
Um,
Oh, it says here, tell my sister that he's so sorry he wasn't open. He just felt lost.
wow.
So I know that that sounded a bit jumbled because, when I'm in a class teaching and I've got all these people and I'm going one by one trying to jot down all these notes, sometimes it's
Yeah.
very difficult to capture it all. But I
Yeah.
did try my best, and
No, that's amazing. Like nailed it. Like every one of your of the students. That's crazy.
they're pretty amazing. And that's
Yeah.
why I love teaching it so much. I feel like sometimes we have this ability, but we need a little bit of help to push them along. And that's why I do push the students hard. I'm like, come on, what do you get? What do you get? And I know that each one of them got something really important and significant. So I was really proud of them. And
Yeah.
I knew it was going to help for you to hear that as well. And
Absolutely.
I do know that you guys had a celebration of life for him. And I really want it to be there. Was just it's really hard for me sometimes as a medium because I think you'll understand this because it's who you are too. We get so
Yeah.
invested in something and it's so hard to even put ourselves into that kind of environment. I'm supposed to be the strong one. I'm supposed to hold your family up while they come to me for help. And I tried that with that reading that we did, the three of us. And I
Hmm.
think I held it together pretty well, but
Yeah.
because it's my job. But I don't know if I could have held on to your mom and not been an absolute mess, and that wouldn't
Yeah.
have helped her. I know they say that tears are good for the soul and everything, but when your mom has come to me for so many years to be her rock, I was afraid not to be.
Yeah.
So think I had mentioned I'd be there in spirit, but
Yeah. Totally.
and something happened that day. I remember going, oh my God, I had plans or work or whatever it was. And I thought, if I was supposed to be there, then spirit would have made that happen. And
Yeah.
I think that I need to be that person that is the strong one for them because they do rely on me. They do trust me. And
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think that's why. But I do want to say something all day today. Every time I would think of recording with you, all I could see was people toasting with beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you keep showing this to me today? Like, I don't know what this means. And it was almost like there's a funny song that goes along with it, like a weird cheers or something. And
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I think it's really inappropriate.
okay, that's kind of what I'm getting. Like, it's funny, is what I'm getting. And he
Yeah.
said, all day he's been around me again because he knew we were doing this. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, well, Daniel, if you're going to come in, you are more than welcome to. I know your sister would love to hear from you. And that's kind of what he was flashing at me, was this party and him just really happy that there was more laughter than there was tears.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what I wanted. That's what I needed everybody to understand, was that it's okay. It's okay to laugh still. It's okay to be happy. And there's
Yeah.
something else I need to look at. So if you can just bear with me for a sec, I want to see what he has to say. Okay.
Okay.
He said that he's been coming to you nonstop. And the way that
Yeah.
he's doing it, he said, it's almost like an incredible energy shift in the room because all of a sudden it becomes weird, like dense in a way.
Yeah. It's like my hair stands, like the temperature
Yes,
changes.
the energy just gets
Yeah.
thick in the room. And he said, I'm trying to come to you because I know you can. I know you can be the messenger for Mom.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I need you to tell her something tonight.
Okay.
He said, I know how difficult it was for her to choose the pictures.
Yeah.
But he said, every time she chose one and she said, okay, we'll use this. He said, I promise. I was there sitting beside her, giving her that bear hug from behind. She was sitting at like her table or something, going through some of these
Yeah.
pictures in her kitchen, I think.
Yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Okay. It's almost like everything's laid out on the table, is what I see. And it's like, it's interesting because there's a candle going. I kind of see like a Zen night, like a evening.
I think we were at my house in my living room.
Was it? But did you have
Yeah.
candles and stuff going
Yeah.
where it's
Oh
dim?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
looking and I'm like, it's around a table where there's pictures are almost spread on the table.
Yep. I have a
Okay.
huge island in my, and the thing was covered in pictures.
Pictures.
Yeah.
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 So there's a couple that I know that actually that's what happened in our session, our reading that day. He had shown me a picture and I described it
Yeah.
to you, Kayla. And I said, oh my God, I see this picture. You've never posted it. I've never seen it. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is what he's showing me. Oh my God. And I said, I described it to you. I think you were sticking your tongue out or something. And
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
we were, yeah, it was my 18th birthday and my reaction was like, ah, like, crazy. And my brother's, I'm sitting
Yes.
on his lap and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you
Yep.
called it like it was. And then I showed you the picture and you were like, oh my
My
gosh.
God. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Well, that day, when you guys were going through all of these photos, it's just so fascinating because he just was like, I can't believe you guys are actually going to use that one. You know, there's some funny ones that you guys did
Yeah.
choose. There's some really funny ones. And there's one he said that he needed a haircut in it, and it was just wild hair. Like, why
Yeah.
did you choose that? Where it's almost like sticking out, like poofy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chose that
Like Led
photo, he said.
Zeppelin style.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. He just he just said, I'm glad you guys could get a good laugh out of it. He said, if that brought a smile to your face, then I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, oh, so you've been talking to his wife.
Yeah.
You've been talking to
Yeah.
her. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Almost every day. If not, it's every
a
other day
lot.
or yeah.
Yeah. He said, Kayla, he's so grateful that you're making the effort because most people would back away from that and get caught up in life, but yet that's your duty almost. Like that's what you do as a healer. You help. And he said, for that, he'll be forever grateful. And he said, I would love for you to help her with the anger because you're not angry. You're sad. He
Yeah.
said, I know she's angry at me.
Yeah.
He said, I want that to be your duty. I know that sounded
Wow.
really forceful, but
Yeah.
that's just who he is,
Yeah. Very blunt.
He is very blunt. And he would really love for you to be able to help her with that anger because it's hurting her. It's not hurting him.
Yeah.
Does your daughter not like talk about him all the time, like as if he's still around?
Um, every day, like, yeah,
She's so
Daniel,
matter
I
of
know that's
fact.
you.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes. Because
Hi,
he's
Uncle
like,
Dan. Yeah.
she knows. He said, she knows. He said, I visit her all the time. And
Yeah.
he said, there was a time period too, about 2 years he didn't see you guys or you weren't talking or
Yeah.
something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
going to keep going with that if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. He said, I want to apologize to you because you tried to get in and he tried to let you in, but he couldn't. He stopped you and he blocked you. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to anyone. And he said, I can't go back in time and fix any of that, but I'm so sorry that it brought you pain because he said, all you wanted was for me just reach out and say hi. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
And he said, it did take me a while. And he said, eventually I swallowed my pride and I contacted you.
Wow. Yeah.
And he said, I want you to always remember that even though I was struggling, I don't want you to replay that time frame in my life. I want you to move forward and always, if you do have to go back to the younger years where it was fun and it was playful and you you just didn't know that he was struggling.
Yeah.
Go beyond
Yeah.
that. Go back to that time. He said, I would not want you to remember all the things that you think that you should have helped me with because it wasn't for you to do. Because that's what you've been beating yourself up with over for the last few months is I should have reached out to help more, but you couldn't have. He wouldn't have
Yeah.
let you.
No.
And he
Wow.
said something about the flashing lights like
Oh my
outside.
God.
It's like flashing lights keep popping
Uh,
at me. Why are
every light in my house, when I turn it off, it flickers twice and then it shuts off. And
flashing? Yes.
it's not like a lamp, it's like my
No.
bathroom light, my hall light, my kitchen light. And every time I shut it off, it flickers twice. And then Riley goes, "Have a good day, Uncle Dan." And then
That's
we
right.
leave the
Thanks.
house.
And there's
Like,
some
yeah,
outdoor
thanks.
lights too. I hear
Yep.
outdoor lights too are flickering or flashing.
Yep.
Outdoor
The blue
lights.
ones. The
Yeah.
blue outdoors. Yep.
Yep. Okay. He said,
That's crazy.
he said, I'm telling you, he said, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not trying to get your attention. He said, I know you can see me. So he said, I'm
Yeah.
doing everything to make you see me. He said, please don't be afraid to actually see me. I know the signs you understand very well, but don't be afraid to see them, he said. Sorry, I'm just in your kitchen. I think I've never been to your new place, but I'm apparently going to your new house right now. So just hang tight for a second but I do want to say your kitchen because the weird thing is all I smell is like toast. And I don't know why if you made like a toasted sandwich or toasted something
Nutella
tonight.
toast.
Tonight?
Nutella toast. Yeah.
Oh
Like
my God.
an hour ago, like
I can
before we
smell
got.
it. And I'm thinking, well, it's nighttime. Did you make a sandwich that's toasted? But
Yeah,
I
like
smelled toast. Oh, weird.
Nutella
Okay.
toast. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we'll
It
keep
was for my
going.
daughter, not for me.
And if it was for you, it would have been fine too. He said no judgment. He
Yeah.
had a sweet tooth, by the way, too. Just he loved
Yeah.
sugar. So he loved chocolate for some reason, he just said,
Yeah.
but not Nutella necessarily, but chocolate. Chocolate,
Yeah.
chocolate, chocolate. I'm in your kitchen. And it's almost like you don't have a long hallway. It's like to a bedroom or anything. It
Nope.
almost seems like short, like stubby,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I almost want to say, like, near that, there's stairs near there, near that
Yeah.
hallway. Okay. So we're going to, and you've obviously been working. I know that because I saw that on Facebook that you were finishing a basement or whatever with John. But
Yeah.
I almost feel like I need to go down. I need to go downstairs because I'm like standing in
Yeah.
that kind of hallway thing. And it's not long. Like I said, it's stubby of a hallway, but I almost want to go right downstairs and we're going to go down there. So it's not fully done though yet, right?
Nope.
Because I
Nope.
went down and I felt like I almost saw some flooring done and some not. Like it's like a room is
I've got the tile in the basement in the bathroom. We're getting ready to install it. So maybe
okay. So
that's
that's not done yet. Okay.
no.
I can feel, but it's like almost like cooler flooring too. Like I feel like I'm standing on something like a laminate or
It's a subfloor.
what's this
There's a
subfloor
wooden subfloor down there right now.
right now? So there's no
Yeah.
like have you laid your flooring down yet?
Not yet. No.
Is it what did you choose for flooring?
It'll be carpet, but I do have like a laminate flooring that's going in the laundry room,
Okay.
and
I
then
heard
tile for the
laminate, so
bathroom.
I was like,
Yeah.
laminate, are you
Well,
sure?
there you
Because
go.
um I'm gonna walk around a little bit here because it's almost like I don't know, it's very bright. Are you painting it
Yeah.
light colors or something? And like
It's primed right now, but it's gonna be it's gonna be
light colors.
lighter. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just looking over and there's like almost like things leaning up against the wall that are gonna get put up. Like it's like they're waiting to be like tacked or
Yeah.
nailed on to the wall or whatever.
Yeah. You betcha.
Okay. Um anyways, we could go on and on and do this all night
That's
because you know
amazing.
I haven't done a
Yeah.
reading with you for a couple months now, but
Yeah.
I as much one day we are going to do this together again in person, actually coming up soon in July.
Yeah, you bet.
But I really wanted to let him in today just to be able to again say to you, he's not with me, he's over there with you guys.
Yeah.
And even though he's passed, he's very much alive. I know you know that. I know your family understands that. But I think a lot of people don't get it. And that's
Hmm.
kind of why I wanted to do this important episode. But also, I really wanted to touch on where they go, because I think that's one of the questions I get asked a lot as a medium. People will say, Karina, did they get to the other side? Did they get to heaven? Did they go to the other side? Because I always do say the good and the bad exist here in the physical world and in the spiritual world. But when people cross and make that decision, they do go to the light. They go because they're your past loved ones and ancestors come in and grab them. And they do have to do a life review. They do have to go through with their guides to understand why they made the choices that they did. And it's like going to school, really, but they do make it and they are at peace. And that's for them. They go and they cross and they are at peace. For us here, the people that are left behind, the families, they're the ones that have the pain. And the best thing that you can do for your loved one is to pray for them. Say a good prayer. And a prayer is just a conversation with the universe. It doesn't need to be a religious prayer. It's just, I hope you're okay. I wish you well, those kind of things, because it does bring peace to our hearts, the people that are left behind. Does that make sense?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
What advice could you possibly give to anyone out there that has lost a loved one to suicide?
I would say it's so important to talk about it. It's not easy, but talking about it helps. You can find someone, who's done the same, who's been through the same thing and can relate to you. But I think it's so important to talk about it.
I do think that's important. I think people are afraid to discuss how a loved one passed, or they're afraid to bring it up because for many reasons, really. But I do think what you said is important, like for your mom and for your family and yourself to be able to say, this happened. And I need to talk about it. I need to say when I'm not okay or if I'm struggling, or just to know that someone else out there has also gone through something similar, I think brings people closer together and helps you to get
Yeah,
through some of it at least.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I want to say also something that I think is important as a medium, working, doing this for so many years and having so many people that I've talked to on the other side that have passed by suicide. The message is always the same. Nothing anyone could have done would have changed it. They never want any of us to feel guilt for not being able to intervene and save them. And that's something I think that's really important, is that so that people that have lost someone to suicide don't feel that it's their fault, that they didn't reach out or that they didn't see it. Most of these people that have chosen to pass and cross that way that I have seen seemed perfectly fine. And even if they weren't perfectly fine and they were struggling a little bit, they never let on to how bad it was. And it's nobody's fault. It can never be changed. Would you say, Kayla, that you saw signs that this could have happened to help
Absolutely not.
others? Because that's what I want to help others with is there something that you think, looking back in hindsight, that you could have picked up on, that you could have even said now, oh, maybe that could have happened because this and this happened? No?
No,
And that's
that's
the
what's the
point.
tough part.
That's the
Yeah.
point that I'm trying to make with this episode. We think that everyone is okay. It's always, the people that smile the brightest and who are jokesters and who, try to be funny at times are the ones that are actually struggling, really struggling
It's
behind
like
closed doors.
Robin Williams, right?
I met him many years ago in San Francisco. It's weird that you
Wow.
just said that. I haven't talked about him in a long
Yeah.
time. And I met him in San Francisco on the trolley cart.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Even for me, wow. He's probably here with us right now because that's wild. Nobody knows that really, that I met him. And
Wow.
when he passed, I remember thinking, my God, like he was joking with my brother and I
Hmm.
and making us laugh. And I know that people really do hide it because I have been to that dark place. And Kayla, you know that.
Yeah.
I've struggled. I am grateful to be alive right now. And I hid it from the world. And
Yeah.
I smile and I pretend that I'm okay. And I'm good these days. But let me tell you, when I was smiling the brightest is when I was at my darkest time.
Yeah.
And I hid it from everyone because that's what people do. So if we want to sit here and beat ourselves up for I should have done this, or I wish I would have seen this or known, you couldn't have known. That's the lesson. There's nothing you could have done that could have changed any of it. Not you, not your family, not anyone that's lost someone to suicide. You can't change it. They made a choice. And you will
Absolutely.
get to reunite someday when the timing is right. But for the meantime, they will go out of their way to be there and show you and prove to you that they're doing these things in your house. And knowing that you made toast today, an hour ago, to say, I'm still there, just in a different way. And I really hope that helps today. I hope it helps someone out there, Kayla, tonight. Like,
Yeah,
really,
me too.
this is not an easy one for either of us to do. I know that because it's, again, talking about it, we walk on eggshells. Am I going to say the wrong thing? Is this right? Is it wrong? I just like to speak from the heart, whether it's right or wrong. I just want to help. And if
Mhm.
that is wrong, then I'll be wrong, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. 100%. Yeah.
So I want to leave you all with this today. We truly never know what others are going through. People like to hide their innermost pain and pretend that they are okay. It is extremely difficult to understand why some choose to end their lives, and maybe none of us will ever truly get it. The one thing that I have learned as a medium is that they don't go where some people assume that they go. They go to the very same place that our loved ones go. They do have to do a life review and almost go to school with their guides, but I also do know that they are at peace. Sadly, the families that are left behind are the ones that live in continuous pain, and for that, they are very sorry, and they will do anything and everything to try to show you that they are okay from the other side. They will try to give you sign after sign until you finally acknowledge their spiritual existence. If you have lost someone to suicide, I pray that you can find peace in your soul and trust that they are in a good spiritual place. They are with all of their past loved ones and ancestors, and someday you will be reunited in spiritual form. If you are struggling in any way with suicidal thoughts, depression, or anxiety, you are not alone. Please reach out to someone and seek the help that you need. Here are a couple of phone numbers that I have found that I think may help. The first one is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-8255. And the Canadian Suicidal Prevention Lifeline is 1-833-456-4566. And for the youth that are out there that are struggling, there is Kids Help Phone, and that is 1-800-668-6868. Kayla, I really, really, really want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, because I know this was really something that took a lot of courage and strength to do, but I feel like being able to talk about it is what's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to kind of echo on what you were saying. You know, there are people out there that are struggling, and it's so common. And um, you know, if you're struggling, reach out. You know, call a friend, call the phone numbers Karina had listed. Just reach out. Like it's so important to talk about everything. And
I think it's really important that you did say that all it takes sometimes is just talking about it, and reach out. Please don't be afraid to reach out. Kayla, I really do hope that us even having this conversation tonight and doing this episode, that maybe it'll bring some light into a few people's lives, at least. That's my hope. We're trying so desperately to make sure that we let people know it's okay to not be okay. And all it takes is that one phone call, right, to someone else to say that you're not okay. And from there, hopefully you can get the help that you need.
Absolutely.
If you would like to book a reading with me, I can be reached at www.divinemessages.ca or on Instagram at Divine Messages 333 or at the Divine Messages Podcast, as well as on Facebook under Divine Messages or the Divine Messages Podcast. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions represented in this podcast are based solely on Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.